I think the thing to expect in this section, we should just know that there is nothing different between spring application and fall application and winter application. That is just the thing to expect, right? The only difference is that it's just the time. So the skills that you will use for fall, the same skills you will use for spring, the same skills you will use for winter. I'm excited to start this section, and I want to thank our organizers, Kelechi and his team, for putting this up. Like we all know, this mentorship thing, it's something that we have decided to do, and we are all volunteers on this journey. So because of the number of people we are getting and the number of questions that we get every time, once a while we gather our participants to just have a kind of a tete-a-tete or an information section to maybe address one or two questions or give information about a season that is coming up. So this section is just one of those that we have decided to share some information about spring application for 2023. Like I said before, whatever we are saying here, it might not be new for a lot of people, but I think one thing that you take home here is the motivation. It's just having the information again, it's just going to motivate you. So like Kelechi said, we hope that at the end of this section, we cover how to approach spring application, then meeting most schools' eligibility criteria, then how to put up a strong application, and the free mentorship section. So I'll be speaking on how to put up a strong application. I think within that topic, we have meeting most schools' eligibility criteria. So for me, there are 3 aspects of how to put up a strong application that I will be addressing. 3 aspects, and I want us to pay a very close attention to those aspects. I know that I have seen that for every application, every call for an application that you see, because an application into a graduate school, it has a structure. So whenever a professor decide that they have funding and they need a student to come and fulfill the requirement of their project, maybe they have a research they want to do and they know that they need a student to come and achieve that project. So the first thing is that there is a project, right? Then there's funding for that project. So what the professor will do is the professor will say, I need students that will come and fulfill this requirement, but I don't know who this student is, but I want to get the best. I want to get the student who is qualified, a student who will come with enthusiasm, a student who will come with passion. I don't want to get somebody into my program that the person, after maybe I've spent a lot of time, after I spent a lot of resources to get the student in, then after 1 month, the person will tell me, I'm no longer interested. So what that professor will do, they will put up an application. So that application can either be in the form of a flyer, it can be in the form of a poster. Some of them, they will just put the information on their school portal, right? So you can either find your application on the portal, which is on the website of the school. Then some people can go to the website, copy those information and create a poster. And that is some of the things that we see on Twitter, on LinkedIn, things like that. It can be in the form of a PDF. So for you to put up a strong application, the first thing that you have to, the first question you have to ask yourself is, have you studied the requirements for this application? And how do you study the requirement for the application? You have to ensure that you have seen the call for the application. And we all know that an application that is shared on Twitter, because Twitter has a word requirement. So one thing that you might not see all the information that is required for that application on Twitter. It's possible you can see it on LinkedIn. So what you have to do, make sure that you have traced the application, the call for the application, to the original document that is stating the application requirement, and make sure that you have carefully studied the call for the application, either through the flyer or the poster or from the portal. And when you find the poster, make sure that you identify the different areas that the application wants you to cover. Because every professor that puts up something, I think the first thing they do is that they first of all describe the project that that application is covering. So once you read that project, something in you will tell you that I think I am qualified for this position. I think I have the requirement. It can be in data analysis. It can be maybe something in hydrology. It can be something that has to do with drug discovery. So anything, it can be something about trying to understand element distribution. It can be something on machine learning. So once you read that flyer, you have this assurance, at least from your side, that you meet maybe 80% or 70% or 50% of what is needed for this call for an application. So once you have that, that is where the journey starts. So what I'm trying to say in this slide is that ensure that you have adequately read the flyer. Don't just read it. Don't read it and say, oh, I think I'm qualified, when you know that you don't have what it takes. You don't have the skills that are mentioned there. So make sure you have checked the skills. What do they need? Do you have them? If you have them, then at least you have read that and you have understood that. So the next question that you want to ask yourself is, what documents are requested in the graduate study application? Because while you are reading that flyer, the flyer contains some documents that are required, because every application, you have to submit some things. And like I used to tell us, that the people who are going to read who are going to decide your fate on the application, they don't know you from Adam. In most cases, like 95% cases, they don't know you. At least we have seen that from people who have gotten admissions in the recent times. These people don't know you. So what they know is the document that you are submitting to them. That is why it is important to check those documents. Then in my next slide, I will start talking about how to make sure that those documents, like what skills you need to put to make those documents very competitive, right? So from our experience, we know that some of the documents that are required, or some of the things that you need to show that comes up on the call for an application, whether it is for spring application or for winter application or for summer or for fall application, those things are your CV or your resume. In that case, although depending on the jurisdiction, maybe the country, some country calls it CV, some countries call it resume. So any one of them, I think at this level, they are doing the same thing. So if it has the call for application, sometimes require that you submit your CV, then it sometimes requires that you also submit your statement of purpose or your personal statement. Whichever, like there has always been a question on what is statement of purpose different from personal statement. What I always tell our mentees is that whether it is called statement of purpose or personal statement for the application you are making. It doesn't really, that is not really the bone of contention. What you have to do, most schools, they have a definition. They have a definition for what they want in that statement of purpose or that thing called personal statement, and that is what matters. So as an applicant, you want to make sure you have read that your school, so not generic. We always have a generic way of approaching things, right? But for an application that you want to make strong, go to that school, because that school, if they have put up what they want to see in a statement of purpose or in a personal statement, make sure you identify those things. Does it cover your experience? Does it cover your previous research? Does it cover why you want to attend that school? Does it cover what you would do with the degree after graduating? So those things you have to make sure you have checked for the school you are applying for. If you did not find anything for your school, then step 2 will now be go to Google and check what is the definition for school in that country, right? That what is the definition for a statement of purpose, or what is the definition for a personal statement? That will give you a guide, right? So once you have done that, I think you are already on the path of preparing a strong application. Then some applications require you to provide writing samples. So people have worked with in the past. I just tell them, especially those that did like their undergraduate and they did a thesis. I said, okay, we can just prepare your abstract, the abstract of your thesis, prepare it, let's submit it as your writing sample. But remember that when you are asked to submit a writing sample, they are not just asking you to submit it as a fashion. You are going to be judged on it. So they want to use it to know how you structure your writing. So don't submit that one that you used to pass your that one that you used to pass your thesis degree or your thesis project. I don't encourage you to submit it as it is then. Check it again, because since you graduated, a lot of things has happened. Most times the abstract we use, our thesis, our supervisors don't actually read through them thoroughly. But now you are going to put it up in a competition, right? So I encourage that if you are submitting a writing sample, you have to rewrite that summary to be in tune with best practices. So for this, I've worked with a lot of students, a lot of our mentees to put up a writing sample, not like I write for them, but they write it and they send to me. I give 1 or 2 comments. I don't think I'm the only one that is doing that. I think most of our mentors, they also help in doing this. So that will help you to put up a strong writing sample. So that is for that. Then some applications, especially if you are going for a PhD, some will require that you submit a proposal. It's not too common. It's not too common, but if they ask you, it's also something that is doable. So you have to make sure that you prepare something that it's constructive, something that it's logical, something that is feasible to do. So that is a proposal is just a document that shows what you want to work on, how you want to work on that thing, why you want to work on that thing. So that is mostly needed for people who are going for PhD, but it's not always the case. Some schools they don't request that. So the next thing that we have seen that is being asked of is transcript. So this one is a very common thing, right? Everybody, we are all aware of transcript. And here I mentioned the official and the unofficial. So some schools, they are very strict, right? They said they want official. Some schools even go ahead, like recently I'm working with a mentee that their school, the school requested that the person should submit an evaluation from WES, So that is like an extreme part of it. Although it's good, doing WES is good, because if you do WES, you have the opportunity of having your transcript in a repository. I will use that word repository, so that in the future, if a school requires your transcript, you don't have to go through the hurdles of keep applying for transcript every time. That is an advantage of WES. So if a school requests WES, you can spend that amount of money to do the WES. Then in the future, you don't have to spend money again to get your transcript. But there are some schools that don't require official transcript. There you can use your unofficial transcript. And also, in the method where we ask people to contact professors through cold email, you can also use unofficial transcript to overcome that. You can use unofficial transcript to get the attention of a professor that will accept you. There are different ways that you can get unofficial transcript. We can talk about that. I think we already have a video that we actually discussed something about that. Or you can maybe talk to us one-on-one. We can tell you how to get unofficial transcript, which you must be careful. You must know how your school calculates their official transcript, right? So I will not talk much on that. Then another thing is the standardized test. A lot of schools and a lot of programs and a lot of countries require that you get standardized tests. Number one is the English, this test to prove your English language proficiency. And we see that there are different ways to do that. It can be through the submission of your IELTS scores or your TOEFL score, or recently, I think now schools are accepting Duolingo. Then you can also use your proficiency letter. Like for most people who are from Nigeria, our official language is English. So some schools accept it. Once you bring a letter from your school that you are proficient in English, they will accept it and they can continue with the admission with that proficiency letter. So I think that is the cheapest method of getting your English language proficiency. The next method that is very cheap, I found that Duolingo charges, it costs a kind of about $50 to get the test. And from their website, they said that it's like the most is the cheapest, because other tests, other evaluation method like IELTS and TOEFL, they cost more than $200. And I know that dollar depends on maybe the country that you are applying for also. So what our advice says that check the school that you are applying to, right? If the school you are applying to requires any of them, if they can accept any of them among Duolingo, TOEFL, and IELTS, then you can also check your economy. Which one can you afford? But I think there are some that are more general, because I don't think all schools accept Duolingo. So if you write it, then you now get to a school that doesn't accept it. Then you have to go and write maybe IELTS or TOEFL. Then that will become like, it might not be a wise decision, right? So make sure you are making a wise decision that is general. You don't want to write only one because one school needs that. Then when you get to school two don't need it. Then you have to go and write what you are supposed to write ab initio. Then the last standardized test that most application want also is the GRE, the Graduate Record Examinations. So that again, some programs need it, some don't. So everything boils back to checking the requirements of the school. Check the requirements of the school that you are applying to. Check it and check it and check it. One way of checking that is you can make a list. Like recently, we see a lot of people do this. They make a list for us, post it on Twitter or post it on LinkedIn. That is very good. But on your own, you can also do a little homework of your research. Take a spreadsheet, put the school, put the headings like GRE, TOEFL, this, and tick schools that need and schools that don't need it. Then from there, you can streamline where you want to apply to. The same thing happens to application fee. What is the application fee of the school that I'm going to? Do they give application fee waiver? So all those things, you're going to check them. Although, yeah, so all those things, you will check them to know which school you apply to. So now I want to go to the real thing of the matter that I want to talk about before I round up. So in putting strong application, I keep saying this: writing. Writing, writing, writing. You cannot overemphasize the place of writing. It's true we have graduated, but I still see a lot of us, when I read through your draft, I still see a lot of opportunities for you to improve. So I want us to, on our own, work on your writing. Even as I am now, I have gotten to the highest stage of education, right? But I still read about writing. I still want to improve. I still want to improve how I structure my grammar, how I structure my sentences, right? So I just wrote on my note, I said, a good writer takes it all. A good writer takes it all. Because you can have a very good skill. You can have a very good analytical skill, but if you don't know how to write, it will become a problem, because writing is important for graduate school in different ways. One, it will help you to put up a good application, right? Number two, when you get to the program, you need a good writing skill to become productive. In graduate school, productivity is not only counted by how you can do the research. It's mostly counted by how you can produce your result in terms of publications. So you see where writing is important. So writing is important not only to gain admission, but it takes you through your life. Even after graduation, to get a job, you need to write. You need to write application, you need to write cover letter. So writing cannot be overemphasized. So if you want to invest on anything, if you want to invest on anything in graduate school, in making strong application, invest on your writing. You can see the skeleton here, right? So after you have read the call for an application, you have seen all the things that are required, your CV, the statement of purpose. If you want to write your statement of purpose, just like any other document you want to write, make sure you start with an outline. Start with an outline. An outline is like the skeleton of the work. If you don't have the skeleton, you cannot have the body. No matter, like all these faces I'm seeing now, the beautiful faces, ladies, guys, we all have a skeleton. That skeleton is what is holding us. With that skeleton, your flesh will just collapse, right? You don't have any structure. So make sure you have an outline. And that outline, what will it cover? The outline should cover all the points, all the areas that the application requested. So let's say if the SOP talks about write your past experience, we want to see your past experience, we want to see your leadership skills, we want to see want to see why you chose this school. So all these are paragraphs. They should form each paragraph. We want to see what you will do with this degree after graduating. So they will form your paragraph. That is the first thing you have to do. Then once you have gotten that, there's one thing I've also seen. Some of our writings are not coherent. So make sure that the paragraph that you have now formed, when you want to fill it up, when you want to flesh the paragraph out, make sure that the paragraphs are coherent. What do I mean by coherent? The story does not tally, right? If you want to talk about drinking, if you're thirsty, what do? You go to the tap to get water first, or you go to you go to where you hang your cup, right? You get your cup. After getting your cup, you go to the tap. When you go to the tap, you switch on the tap, the faucet. Then you take the water. Then you drink. You cannot start with drinking. Then you take the cup. Then you open the faucet, right? So coherency means starting from have a logical flow. That is very important. Even if what you're writing is wrong, somebody might not know if it is coherent. But when your writing is not coherent, then people start thinking that this person is faking something. So put up your outline. Make sure every point is coming out as a paragraph. Then this is very important. I see this a lot. Let the first sentence of your paragraph capture the main point. Very important. That first sentence is like the hook. If the reader is not hooked by that first sentence, the person might not want to read again. Let that first sentence, people who are, if I've corrected your work, and I think our mentees, our mentors are also doing this, you see that I pay attention to that your first sentence. There's how I put it. People who have corrected their work, I think you already know that. There's how I put that first sentence. There's how I restructure that first sentence. You just see everything from reading the first sentence. Then if you are interested, you can go on to see the other parts of the paragraphs, which I think should contain the like examples. So when you have captured that big story of the paragraph, then you should go with examples, which will help you to flesh out the paragraph. Then ensure, I've said it before, I'll just say it again, ensure that your paragraphs are coherent. Go in a logical manner. And that logical manner can be in two forms. You can go in terms of chronology. It can be timing. So after you get your first degree, then the next one will talk about your master's degree. The next one will talk about your job experience. Then you go to why you want to go to that university and what you do after the university. That is like a chronology using timing, right? You can also go by the reason of the topic, like the importance of the topic. So in that case, you just put things where they fit because you are talking about that thing in the topic. And try to make the introduction of your SOPs short. Sometimes not 2 paragraphs. 1 paragraph is okay. Some people come with 2 paragraphs. I know you want to write a lot of things, right? But we want something consistent, especially as most of these writing, they limit you to the number of words or the number of pages that you will write. So that is the reason why you must make sure that it is concise. So write your sentences in concise way. And that is where I'm going to end this. To make your sentence concise, you have to do a lot of things, but these are some of the things I've seen. A lot of us, we like using transition words too much, even when it's not needed, right? To make myself productive, comma, I did this, that. All those things, when we see your story, we will see that we will know that that is what that you are trying to make yourself productive. You don't have to put that transition. To make myself productive, comma, I did this, or however, all this however like thing. Nevertheless, it's good, but not like every sentence you have to start with a transition word. That will just make your writing not concise. Another thing I've seen, remember one time I posted a sentence on our mentorship group, and I asked us to put it in a concise way, right? We had a lot of options. I was happy reading those, but I finally came up with an option that I had in my mind, which it's not like yours weren't good, right? But I think that I was able to explain what my target was. So avoid the use of nominalization. What is nominalization when you are writing? When you take a verb, like somebody just sent me something to review, and instead of it's just easy to say, sir, please review this document for me. You can say, please review this document for me. The person said, I want a review. I want a review of this document. Can you see? I want a review. That is already long. Please review or review this. I want a review. How many words? I want a review of this document. Instead of just saying review, which is the action there. Please review this document. So nominalization is making a verb. No, making a verb a noun. It's a common thing when we are writing. It's a common thing. So try to avoid it. Like if you, instead of saying I ate, okay, I will not use this example. So I've given an example of nominalization, and I think I will take more in the question time. So I am very sure that if we improve our writing and we read carefully application materials, we will be a kind of 80% on the way of getting a strong application that will help us landing a position that we are qualified for. And if we do that, I want to celebrate. I think that we're going to be celebrating more years, just like we have 12 already for this year. we want to celebrate more for the winter 2023 section, that the application is now. Thank you very much, and we will go straight to the next section. Thank you.